Welcome to Vilanius, the channel where we explore the darkest corners of history and unravel the motivations of the most powerful men. Today, we delve into the life of a character who has been exalted and vilified for centuries, Julius Caesar, a man whose ambition, military strategy, and thirst for power changed the course of history. But was Caesar simply a ruthless dictator, as many make him out to be? Or was he a visionary who forged an empire and laid the foundations of Western civilization? In this documentary, we will immerse ourselves in the life of this enigmatic leader, revealing both his triumphs and his failures. We will explore the military campaigns that made him a legend, the political reforms that shook Rome to its foundations, and the conspiracy that ended his life. And we will do so without falling into the Manichaean simplification that usually accompanies historical figures. Because Julius Caesar, like all great men, was a complex being, full of contradictions. So get ready for a journey through time, where we will analyze the lights and shadows of a man whose legacy continues to resonate more than 2,000 years later. Was Caesar destined to become the dictator who ultimately destroyed the Roman Republic? Or was he a victim of circumstances and the ambitions of his enemies? Join us to find out. In the shadows of the Colosseum, in the echoes of the Forum, beats the spirit of a man who changed the course of history. Julius Caesar, whose shadow lengthened over the Roman Empire, shaping its destiny. Brief historical context of ancient Rome. In the depths of history, where gods walked among men and empires rose and fell, lay Rome, a city that from a humble village became the epicenter of a vast empire that dominated the known world. Rome, a republic where power was shared by the Senate and the consuls, was a hotbed of intrigue, ambition, and power struggles. In this scenario of constant change, a figure emerged that would mark a before and after in the history of humanity: Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, a name that conjures images of epic battles, relentless conquests, and a legacy that endures to this day. Beyond myth and legend, Caesar was a complex man, a brilliant military strategist, an astute politician, and a social reformer. His ambition led him to scale the heights of power, becoming one of the most powerful men in Rome. However, his rise was not without obstacles, nor was his reign without controversy. Who really was Julius Caesar? A ruthless dictator who put an end to the Roman Republic, or a visionary who laid the foundations for a new world order? A hero or a villain? Over the centuries, the figure of Caesar has been the subject of countless interpretations, from those who exalt him as a military genius to those who condemn him for his excessive ambition. In this documentary, we will delve into the life and work of this enigmatic character, analyzing his achievements, his failures, and the consequences of his actions. What legacy did Julius Caesar leave us? How did it influence the course of history? And what is its relevance in today's world? These are some of the questions that we will try to answer here in Vilanius. Youth and rise to power. From an early age, Julius Caesar demonstrated unusual intelligence and ambition. His education, marked by the influence of the great Roman orators, prepared him for public life. Through strategic alliances with powerful figures such as Marius and Cinna, and his marriage to Cornelia, daughter of Cinna, he entered the political circles of Rome. His natural charisma and ability to connect with the masses made him quickly popular among the Roman people. However, his rise was not without danger. Infighting between Rome's political factions forced him into exile for a time, tempering his character and preparing him for the challenges to come. Upon his return, Caesar proved to be a born leader, capable of uniting the different factions and consolidating his power. Despite his success, Caesar was always aware of the fragility of his position. His political enemies, jealous of his popularity and ambition, constantly sought ways to discredit him. However, Caesar demonstrated great ability to navigate palace intrigues and emerge stronger from each crisis. His bravery on the battlefield and his generosity toward his followers made him a legendary figure. As he approached the pinnacle of power, Caesar became the center of attention, both of those who admired him and those who feared him. Caesar's ambition was evident to everyone. His desire for glory and recognition drove him to constantly surpass his own limits. However, his ambition was not selfish, but was accompanied by a deep sense of duty towards Rome. Caesar believed he could transform the Republic and lead it into a new era of greatness. To achieve this goal, he was willing to risk everything, including his own life. As Caesar consolidated his power, it became clear that he was a man destined for great things. His intelligence, his charisma, and his ambition made him a unique figure in the history of Rome. However, his rise to power also sowed the seeds of his own destruction. The enemies he had left behind were unwilling to accept his dominance and would plot to end his life. Julius Caesar's ambition was revealed in the trial against Dolabella, his first great political challenge. Despite his brilliant oratory and determination, Caesar suffered a bitter defeat. Dolabella, a powerful senator accused of corruption, was acquitted thanks to the influence of his allies and a rigged legal system. This experience not only revealed the deep divisions within the Roman political class, but also exposed the fragility of the legal system and the influence of money and political connections on decision-making. For Caesar, this defeat was a call to action. He understood that to bring about real change in Rome, he would need to build a stronger base of support and challenge the status quo. This trial laid the foundations for his future fight against corruption and the Roman oligarchy, making him a defender of the weakest and a symbol of hope for the people.
Conquistas militares y expansión del imperio.
Some historians have speculated that Caesar's dispatch to Gaul may have been a political maneuver by his enemies in Rome. By assigning him such a dangerous and distant military campaign, they sought to get rid of an uncomfortable and ambitious rival. Gaul was a wild and hostile region, plagued by warlike tribes. His enemies might have calculated that Caesar would not return alive or, at best, would return so weakened that he would not pose a threat to their political ambitions. However, Caesar proved to be a brilliant military strategist and managed not only to survive, but also to emerge victorious from this dangerous enterprise, thus consolidating his reputation and power. Caesar was not only a shrewd politician, but also a brilliant military strategist. His campaigns in Gaul made him a legend. With innovative tactics and a loyal army, he subdued the Gallic tribes and expanded Rome's territories. His victories provided him with the loot and prestige necessary to consolidate his power. However, his conquests also generated tensions with the Senate and sowed the seeds of future civil war. The conquest of Gaul was a colossal undertaking that lasted several years. Caesar faced warring tribes, each with their own tactics and customs. Despite fierce resistance, the Roman legions, under the command of Caesar, managed to win epic battles such as that of Alesia. These victories not only expanded Roman territory, but also provided Caesar with an experienced and loyal army, willing to follow him to the ends of the world. Caesar's campaigns in Gaul not only had a military impact, but also an economic one. The conquered lands were rich in natural and agricultural resources, allowing Rome to increase its wealth and power. Additionally, Caesar's campaigns provided Rome with a steady flow of slaves and booty, which helped finance his political ambitions. However, Caesar's conquests also had negative consequences. The expansion of the Roman Empire generated tensions with the Germanic tribes and the Parthians, leading to a series of border conflicts. Furthermore, Caesar's military campaigns were extremely costly, both in human and economic terms. Many Romans died in the Gaul Wars, and the Roman treasury was seriously depleted. Caesar's conquests in Gaul also had a significant political impact. Caesar's military success made him an extremely popular figure among the legions and the Roman people. However, his growing popularity also aroused the jealousy and envy of his political rivals in Rome. The Roman Senate, fearful of Caesar's power, tried to limit his ambitions, eventually leading to a civil war. The civil war between Caesar and Pompey was one of the bloodiest in Roman history. Caesar and his legions defeated Pompey's forces, consolidating his power and ending the Roman Republic. Caesar's victory marked the beginning of a new period in Roman history, a period dominated by a single man and his descendants. The political reforms of Julius Caesar. The political reforms implemented by Julius Caesar were a turning point in Roman history. Although these transformations sought to solve pressing problems such as social inequality and the inefficiency of the judicial system, they also raised ethical and political debates that persist to this day. The agrarian reform proposed by Julius Caesar is a paradigmatic example of how public policies can generate complex debates about the limits of state power and social justice. Contrary to what many might think, Caesar's intention was not to expropriate the lands of the optimates, his main opponents in the Senate, to redistribute them among the peasants. Instead, his proposal focused on granting new lands, the product of recent conquests, to veterans as a reward for their service to the state. The Roman judicial system, marked by corruption and arbitrariness, was the subject of a profound reform. Caesar, with his vision of a just and equitable empire, introduced new laws and procedures that limited the power of magistrates and protected the rights of all citizens. This did not go down very well among the optimates, their enemies and conservative caste in the heart of Rome. With the same determination with which he conquered new territories, Caesar reformed the Roman calendar. The more precise and efficient Julian calendar became a symbol of the renewal and order that Caesar sought to impose. With a vision of the future, Caesar promoted great infrastructure works that connected and unified the empire. Roads, bridges, and public buildings sprang up throughout Rome, leaving a tangible legacy of its greatness. An admirer of Greek culture, Caesar introduced it to Rome, promoting knowledge and art. His vision was clear: a strong and prosperous empire, but also cultured and civilized. Conspiracy and death. The mark of betrayal, the death of Julius Caesar. On the Ides of March, a day that would echo forever and ever, the shadow of betrayal fell over Rome. Julius Caesar, the man who had forged an empire, fell under a hail of daggers. The scene, full of irony and pain, marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. The conspirators, including some of his closest collaborators, blinded by fear or ambition, dealt the fatal blows to the man who had been their leader. Betrayal, that deep wound that hurts the most intimate, made its way into the heart of Rome. Trust, that fragile bond that unites men, was broken into 1,000 pieces. Caesar's death was more than a political assassination. It was an attack against hope, against the vision of a greater and more united future. The Roman people, who had placed their dreams in this exceptional man, were plunged into confusion and pain. The streets of Rome were filled with lamentations and a deep sense of loss. The Republic, already weakened by internal strife, was further bled with Caesar's death. The stability he had managed to build crumbled, giving way to a period of chaos and violence. The shadow of civil war loomed again over Rome. Caesar's death was a stroke of fate that left a deep mark on history. His figure, shrouded in legend, continues to fascinate humanity. Was he an ambitious tyrant or a visionary statesman? The answer to this question continues to be the subject of debate. But what is indisputable is that his death marked a before and after in the history of Rome. The conspiracy that ended the life of Julius Caesar teaches us a harsh lesson about the power of ambition, betrayal, and the fragility of the human condition. His legacy, however, endures over time, reminding us of the importance of loyalty, justice, and the search for a better future. Legacy and repercussions. The death of Julius Caesar was a turning point in the history of Rome, a before and after that would mark the destiny of the empire. His assassination, an act of betrayal that shocked the Roman world, set off a series of events that would radically transform the Republic. Caesar's death left a power vacuum that sparked a fierce struggle for control of Rome. The conspirators, far from restoring the Republic, sowed the seeds of a new era of conflict and civil war. The hope for a stable and just government faded, giving way to a period of instability and violence. Caesar's legacy, however, transcended his death. His reforms and conquests had left an indelible mark on the empire. His vision of a united and powerful Rome inspired many, even his enemies. The figure of Caesar became a myth, a symbol of greatness and ambition. Caesar's death hastened the end of the Roman Republic. The Republican nobility, weakened and divided, was unable to restore order. Power was concentrated in the hands of a small group of generals, including Octavius, Mark Antony, and Lepidus, who vied for control of the empire. Caesar's assassination also had a profound impact on Roman culture. The tragedy of his death inspired numerous poets and writers, who turned him into a tragic hero. The phrase, "Et tu, Brute," it became a symbol of betrayal and mistrust that has transcended the centuries. Ultimately, the death of Julius Caesar was a tragic event that marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Its consequences were felt for centuries, shaping the destiny of the Roman Empire and leaving an indelible mark on human history. Caesar's death teaches us that power corrupts and that even the greatest leaders can fall victim to betrayal. It also reminds us that history is written by the victors and that the perception of events can change over time. The question that remains in the air is, who really was Julius Caesar? An ambitious tyrant or a visionary statesman? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. What is indisputable is that his life and death marked a before and after in the history of Rome. The image of Caesar being stabbed by his friends, a scene that has been depicted in countless works of art, continues to move us today. It is a reminder that even the most powerful men are vulnerable, and that betrayal is a force capable of destroying even the greatest empires. If you enjoyed the video, please support us with a like and your subscription. See you in another villain.